Hey gals and guys, it's your host Phil Larson, and this is your Motivational High Five on surrender. Let's do this. Welcome to your Motivational High Five. It's a short show, about 5 minutes in length. We are trying to get some motivation around certain subjects in certain areas in our lives, and we look at it. We look at it, we prod at it, and we decide to come at it at a positive light. And then at the end, we add a voice to it, this thing that maybe we're working through, where we can begin to rewire our brains positively. And a scientific explanation on how that's possible is found in episode 15. If you want to hear the drive and the passion behind this podcast and why it exists, check out episode 1 on hope. Even more information on the podcast and how to get involved at thestoryshop.tv/podcast. We are here today on episode 23. Can you believe it? We are already on episode 23 talking about surrender. The image that reminds me of surrender is when you're on a roller coaster and those people who surrender to the roller coaster and are enjoying it, they have their hands up. They are fully embracing the surrender that is riding a roller coaster. Me, on the other hand, I have maybe some control issues and a complicated relationship with roller coasters, and I am the one that is bearing down on the harness. I want somehow, some ways, as much control as possible while riding a roller coaster, and it just doesn't work that way. In fact, this desire for control can be an enemy of surrender, versus surrendering as letting go and people experiencing a new freedom. Do you ever find yourself attempting to control something that can't be controlled by you? I do whenever I am confronted with a maintenance issue around the house. And maybe it's the stereotypical guy approach, but I want to fix it. I have this desire to provide, and I have some pride in me that I have to fix it. And it just happened yesterday. In fact, I couldn't record this episode on surrender because I wasn't surrendering to my situation. And the situation was that the air conditioning fan on our outside air conditioner wasn't working. It just wasn't turning. And here I was in the morning trying to get it to go, and it just wasn't working. I was just so frustrated. I wanted control over this situation that I couldn't possibly have control over because this is not my area of expertise. I have friends who have struggled with addiction in their lives, and they've tried to have control over it on their own, only to find their life has become unmanageable. And if you know anything about addiction and recovering addicts, there's the 12-step program. And the step 1 is this: admitting you are powerless over your addictions. And what is that? That is surrender. In order to gain back some manageability in their lives, they have to surrender to the program of recovery. They have to throw up their hands and let the roller coaster course of the program take them to where they need to be. And so do you, and so do I. And by surrendering to the fact that I can't fix my air conditioner, I will be able to then call the appropriate people to get it fixed. By surrendering our control, we gain control. We become realistic about our problems because we begin to accept the things that we don't have control over. There's this wonderful prayer called the Serenity Prayer. And even if you're not a praying person, listen to this because we have something to learn from it. It begins like this: grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That first part, to accept the things I cannot change, well, that is surrender. There are things you don't have control over, and you can't. And we have the choice then how we are going to react to that. To throw up your hands, not as a way of giving up on life, but in the way of a roller coaster, in the way of surrendering to the ride of life. We can't figure everything out, but things come our way, and we deal with it, and we learn from it. We surrender to life and we roll with the punches. And we may find that we give up control, and by doing that, we gain the control. Because we come at our problems in a realistic way. 5 minutes goes by fast, doesn't it? We find ourselves at the end of our podcast, and when we do that, we choose to do something a little bit different by surrendering to maybe something that we can't possibly understand, but something that is indeed backed up by science. And we can continue to do this over and over, and I hope that you do, to make the choice, the hard choice, of surrendering to positive talk in your lives. And today, we look and find a reflection of ourselves at some point. We glance at that self and we say this: I can surrender to life and enjoy the unexpected turns that come my way. And friends, surrender is an art. It is a mindset that needs to be trained and honed, and you can do it. It starts with you.